Hey, what's up, guys? I'm out here working in my office. My office is the basement of my place. It's really huge. It's a mess right now because I took in some big estates and I'm ripping some stuff apart. Putting stuff on pallets so that there's the melt in the springtime doesn't hit us with water damage. So yeah, I'm making a quick video. I want you guys to know that I do work from home. I'm the owner of Stamp Pickers Auctions. A half owner, I should say. My beautiful wife owns half the business, but I'm here and I want to tell you a little bit about eBay and online sales because I was watching a couple of eBay videos. I'm not some pretty lady trying to tell you about eBay. I'm not some jabroni from California. With a trust fund that's able to put out $500,000 a year into dropship products. But I'll tell you a little bit about my experience because I've been on eBay now for it'll be 19 years in January. Prior to that, I was doing a little bit of eBay, so really it's been over 20 years that I've been an online sales professional. But 2001 is when I really took it as a profession, and I did it part-time on the side. I did it while I was working a full-time job, so I was bringing in several different types of income, which was a fantastic deal. But then, when the economy got slashed, I was working in retail management, downsizing companies, and ended up being part of that whole deal. One job I gave up, the other one was let go from. I keep saying that they fired me. According to them, they laid me off, but sure feels like getting fired when they basically tell you you're terminated. And there's no discussions about it. But either way, doesn't matter. But that's like years ago, guys, like years and years ago. So, still a little bit sore about it, but great part about that is that it threw me into real entrepreneurship, which I had been the whole time while doing that. I always had something to fall back on. Became an online sales professional only. I've done really well. To be honest, I was doing well long before I even had a job. And so I'm excited to kind of share with you, like, it's not as easy as a lot of people say, hey, just pick up and go sell stuff on eBay. But that opportunity does exist for everybody, where you can run down to a thrift store and you can buy a couple items. And if and I'm going to say it's a really small way of making a few extra bucks. If you want to get, serious about sales on eBay, I would say go to estate sales, run in and say, hey, what do you want for everything at the end of the sale? Because these guys have to dispose of it somehow. Some of them have storefronts or warehouses, but if they can move it for a few bucks, they will. Go to auction houses, see if you can buy store closeouts. Go to stores, see if they're closing. Right? There's a million things you guys could do. One thing that I'm excited about is that I mostly sell postage stamps. Right? So I'm going to show you here. Here's a few things on my wall. Those are stamps, right? Do collectibles, things like that. And if you see it's my kind of my workspace here. It's my coffee. But I'm doing stamps, big stamp collections, and I do that mostly all day. Now I do pretty much work part time. So I got a 9-month-old little girl. She's almost 10 months. I've been able to spend a ton of time. I mean, the majority of the first, year of her life with her. And I'm there's no greater feeling than being able to do that, because I do know that there's not a ton of people that have that opportunity, or they have the opportunity, but they just got stuck in a career that doesn't allow them to do that. And so I just wanted to share with you that, some of these videos I see, people aren't super real about it. I can give you any tips you want. Shoot me up on Instagram, send me a DM, shoot me up on, just give me a an email or you can reply in my vlog here. You can do anything, and I will reply to you to give you some tidbits. But it's different for everybody. Like, I sell postage stamps, so a few things about my business is that one is when you buy large stamp collections, generally in the tens of thousands of dollars. It's not a cheap profession to get into. Like, I'm a philatelist, so I can actually identify 90% of stamps that are out there. I can identify. I specialize in plate proofs and specimens, and British North American proofs and specimens and rarities. Generally, if there's 25 or less made, and so that's what I specialize in. But I can identify most stamps. Can tell if they're genuine, if they're not genuine. And there's guys that can contest it. It's really funny. I'm probably one of the youngest philatelists in the country. Great part about being that is that I can see the arbitrage that some of the older generation has. Whereas, like, there's one guy has 5 degrees, doctor, says he's the best philatelist in the country, has a website, which barely works because he did it when there was dial-up internet. And he's saying that, just to give you an idea, a re-entry is when they re-enter a sheet to be able to be printed, and sometimes it's a double print or a shift in printing. And, I can identify them very well. I taught myself how to identify them very well. Could probably do certificates for some of the large companies and choose not to. And this older guy had taken one of our stamps and said that it's not what it is, just to keep his the 4 that he has more valuable. Funny thing is, mine's a way better example than the rest of theirs. And yeah, so it's very interesting. It's very, very interesting that they have that kind of arbitrage out there where, it's a bunch of extremely high class, and I hate saying it, but it's true, argumentative, douchey old guys that don't have a clue when it comes to, what's real, what's not, that everything is just hearsay when it comes to stamps. But, like, with good technology, like today, it's funny. Today I can take a photo with a really good camera, microscope attached to my computer, and it can show you every single line on a stamp, to 100 times what it is. Some of them are 1,000 times what it is. But it's really crazy that these guys want to argue the fact that I can actually look and show you where something is on a stamp. And you get some of the older generation where they're trying to look through like a little magnifying glass saying, hey, this isn't what it is. And you're like, guy, I don't have glasses. You do, right? And, I'm using technology that can show you everything. You're not. So interesting. It's interesting. But and that's all you can say to that is it's interesting, right? My stuff sells for the same as his stuff sells for, so it's not a big deal. But in the back end, it's why I'm not a part of a huge amount of philatelic clubs and organizations. It's why the clubs and the organizations around the world even are dying off. It's because an older generation wants to go in like it's a meeting for, the Freemasons. And nothing against the Masons. Love their meetings. It's interesting. Very interesting, actually. And to be in there as a guest at one point it's very hard to get in. But it was very interesting to see. But they're doing it like a very old-fashioned fraternal club, and stamp collecting should be just that, stamp collecting. Like, I know a ton of guys that don't mind spending a few bucks, a ton of ladies that don't mind spending a few dollars just to enjoy the hobby. Not, they don't want to know everything that there is to know about a single stamp, and that's what a true philatelist is. But it doesn't matter if they're enjoying it. Let them enjoy it, right? Like, I'll tell you something about the Philatelic Club locally here. I'm in Winnipeg. They're saying they're the oldest in the country and that they're the best and they have more knowledge than anybody else. And it's funny because most of those old guys I can school, there was one guy who was telling me about eBay. He was trying to tell me about eBay, and he was basically doing a lecture to me about eBay. And I go and look at his feedbacks, and they're about, 1,500. I look at the amount of transactions he's done, and a few thousand, and it's very, very interesting, right? And I find that you get old guys that are trying to give you advice of something that you're better at than them at, right? So it's like, here's the way it is. I came back here, and it may have been one of our worst years on eBay a few years back. And I came back here, and a guy was telling me about eBay. He's trying to school me on eBay, older guy. And what was interesting about that is that he probably did $15,000-$20,000 in sales that year. I did 86. It was our worst year. But if your worst year does, 4 times what that other guy's year is doing, he probably shouldn't be trying to tell me how to do things on eBay, right? I mean, when you average 6 figures and above selling online on eBay, and somebody comes to you telling you how you should be doing it, and, this is what you should do, I take it like, hey, I'll listen to you. But at the end of the day, when you figured it out, you figured it out. When you are an online sales professional, that's what you are. I tend to know almost everything there is to know about my profession. I know what stamps sell for, right? I know what their catalog values are. I know what we get for them, right? And that's, a lot of guys are very interested in telling me what they think that their stamps are worth. So went into a lady's place. She's selling me, old British seahorses. I love them, but the problem is that, the catalog over here says they're 150 pounds. Catalog over here says they're 185 US. And then I go and I put it online, and I get $4.50 for it. So that is the price, the market value. It's not what your catalog says it is. You can't even ask half a catalog. And so the local auctions here had, probably 5 or 6 of the dealers. They call themselves dealers. They're really not. I would say that 2 of them are actual dealers, where they can make serious amounts of money if they wanted. But the rest of them are more just hobbyists, and that's fine. But, in this profession, it's kind of cutthroat, where, these guys will, cut each other down to be something different, right? Like they, one guy's talking bad about this guy. One guy went to a lawyer and told this guy not to do appraisals. Like it gets insane out there, right? But, I get a part of this little group of guys, and I'm sitting with them. None of them doing even close to our sales. None of them are doing any of that. But these guys, I mean, the whole point is that, they're selling they're having this auction, and they're selling their albums. Like here's some albums. I'll give you an idea. It's common stuff. That's all albums. All those boxes are full of albums. Those are all albums over there. These are boxes full of stuff that I fill albums with. Pretty much where you look are albums. Those are box lots that we're putting on this week, right? Like albums everywhere, right? Like these are all albums on my desk here right now. I'm ripping some of them apart. Some of them just kind of going through, making sure that there's no super rare stuff in there. But, these guys are selling albums at 50% catalog value. Some of them are asking 40%, and they're like, well, it's a great deal because it's 50%. I'm like, listen, as being one of the largest dealers in the country, in fact, probably doing, I'm going to say, in the top 10 for sales in this profession in the country, I get between an 10, on the lowest days I get 8%. On the highest days I get 21% of catalog value. And I'm very happy to pay 5%. And that's why these dealers are all like, hey, why aren't you bringing your money to the auctions? We have tons of stuff for sale. You're the only one who can move this amount of stuff. And I just told them, I said, listen, I can't even show up for the prices that you ask for minimum bids, right? That's not an auction to me. An auction is what we do. I start everything at $1 Canadian. Guess what? I sold a $85 set that I generally get, $20 for. Sold it yesterday for $1 Canadian. Guy's super happy to get it. I'm super happy to have a customer like that. He's coming back for more. I can find that set again, right? Like it's or I have another one, I think. But it's very interesting that people are so attached to price on this stuff that it drives me crazy. Like there's a few plate proofs and specimens that I can see that I wouldn't sell for under basically what I paid, or even something, even if I took a loss, it's a little bit of a loss. But the majority of the stuff, let it go for what it goes for. And that's, it's been the upside of my business, and it's been a downside of everybody else's, is where I can accumulate an inventory of millions of dollars, and they can, unfortunately, accumulate the same thing but never sell a dime of it, and I can do 6 figures a year. So anyways, I want to get more of it into about eBay, eBay sales, why I chose eBay, why I think the future of eBay is going to look up for a lot of people, going to look down for a lot of sellers, the future of online sales, and also the future of business, period. Because there's something I'm really passionate about right now, and I have been for probably a few years, is kind of direct to consumer, or there's blockchain technology, there's direct to consumer, there's cutting out the middleman, and I think that's where the world is going. And I even have friends that are going into professions that aren't going to exist 5, 10, 15 years from now. So hopefully they can hit it hard fast and make a fortune, but if they can't, I think it's just going to be a waste of their time, and time's precious, guys. So anyway, I'm going to cut this video off. You guys all have a fantastic day. Click the subscribe link. Head over to our eBay site. Just look up Stamp Pickers Auctions or Stamp Pickers. You can check us out on Instagram. I have a great Instagram account. Tons of customers come through there. I put out a lot of the content of the stuff that we sell. I have a Facebook page. Probably should do more on that, but everything in time. Everything takes time. But you know what? Subscribe to our link. I have more videos coming out. I'm excited to share some more about eBay and online sales, and our journey, and my journey, and what I see in the future. But it's time for me to get back to work. I may not work as much as most people, but I do work. Some people think that I just play around and make money, but the truth is that it took a certain amount of effort and skill set to get to where I am today. I learn something new every day for online sales and marketing and things like that. So it's not like, 18 years goes a long time, almost 19 now, but 18 years goes a long way when you have been doing the same thing. Companies can change, eBay's changed, tax laws have changed, everything around us has changed. The industry of stamps and collections and what we sell has changed. I started with collector's cards, sports cards, trading cards. I went to books. I went to comics. Bought out whole store inventories. Went to antiques. They're too big. And then, we moved over to stamps probably 2004, 2005, 2006 is really when I did it in 06, 07, because that's when the height of the Chinese stamp market was, and was able to do really well there. But in saying that, it's very interesting that things have changed, and with that, once you know what the objective is, once you know how to move stuff and to enjoy it, everything tends to flow properly. We all have our bad days, right? And in entrepreneurship, that's what it is. I mean, it's lonely, and you have your bad days. And I don't have people coming over to our place to buy stuff, and but it's online sales. But I'll tell you what, I don't mind going to a business event or a luncheon or something like that. And I can relate to everybody there, right? Everybody's looking for the same thing. You can share your experience with them. They can share their experience with you. And, it's just a great group of people to get into. So anyways, enjoy your day. Click the subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Cheers.